I thought I'd found the love of my life. Instead, I found 2 strippers in her room. Hey Reddit, throwaway account for obvious reasons. Call me Ethan 34. I thought I had my life figured out, or at least stable. I've been with Madison 32 for 6 years, married for 4. On the outside, we look like that picture-perfect couple people post about on Instagram, vacations in Mexico, brunch selfies, cute dog, the works. But behind the scenes, there were cracks I didn't want to see. Madison has always been complicated. Exciting, magnetic, always the life of the party. She could walk into a room and every eye would find her. Me, I'm quieter. I design software for a living, play guitar in my free time, hang out with family. I thought we balanced each other out, me steady, her fiery. But the truth is, there were always little things. The girls' nights that ended at 3 a.m. The perfume that didn't smell like the one she wore for me. The random new lingerie sets that I'd never actually see her wear at home. When I'd ask, she'd laugh it off, roll her eyes and say, "God, Ethan, stop being paranoid." And like an idiot, I'd believe her. The first time I really felt my stomach drop was when we moved in together. Out of nowhere, she suggested selling her car, even though it was newer than mine, and insisted on putting everything, bills, lease, even utilities, under my name. For simplicity, she said. I brushed it off, but now, I see it for what it was. She wanted freedom with no accountability. Fast forward to the engagement. Madison's parents threw her this over-the-top bachelorette party. Lavish, flashy, just like them. Her family is odd to say the least. Her mom, let's call her Karen because fitting, has always treated me like a stand-in until someone better came along. Her dad, Rick, is the type of guy who gets drunk and tells stories about how he could have been a rock star, if not for having kids. They never really liked me, but I figured once we married things would settle. Spoiler, they didn't. The night of the bachelorette is where everything started unraveling. Around 3 a.m. I get this slurred, panicked call from my sister-in-law, my brother's wife Emily. She was there because Madison insisted she come. Emily was drunk, crying and saying, "Ethan, you need to come right now. Something's happening. Something bad." At first I thought she was just wasted and exaggerating. But then she said it, "Madison's in a room, with strippers. 2 guys. Then it's bad. Please come." My blood ran cold. I didn't even grab a jacket. I just bolted out the door, drove half-crazed across town, praying Emily was wrong. But when I got there, when I walked down that hallway, pushed open that door and saw with my own eyes, my fiancée half-naked, flushed, giggling as 2 naked strippers kissed and touched her while she leaned into it like she was in heaven, that was the night my marriage ended before it even began. I'll never forget the smell when I opened that hotel room door. Cheap cologne, spilled liquor, and something thicker in the air like sweat and perfume mixed together. The music was thumping from a Bluetooth speaker, lights dimmed, curtains drawn. And there she was. Madison. My fiancée. The woman I thought I'd spend forever with. Her blouse was tossed on the floor like it didn't matter. She was in her lace bra, the black one I always thought she saved for me, except now it wasn't for me at all. One of the strippers was behind her, kissing down her neck, his hands sliding across her stomach. The other was in front, shirtless, tracing his fingers across her thighs as she giggled and arched into him. It wasn't just physical. It was intimate. She looked alive in a way I hadn't seen in years, smiling, gasping, enjoying herself. Like I was the afterthought and this was the main show. I froze in the doorway. My heart was pounding but my body felt like stone. I wanted to yell, to rip them away from her, but I couldn't move. That's when Emily, my sister-in-law, stumbled in behind me whispering, "Oh my God, Ethan, I told you." Madison turned, saw me standing there. For a split second her face went pale. Then like a switch she smirked. She actually smirked, like I was the one who was out of line. "Ethan," she slurred, grabbing for her blouse, "it's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like." My fiancée was topless, sandwiched between 2 naked men, lips swollen, hair a mess. And she had the audacity to say that. One of the guys chuckled, clearly drunk or high, and said, "Hey man, it's just a party." Like that made it okay. Like watching my fiancée let strangers paw at her was just another round of beer pong. I finally snapped. "Get out." My voice cracked but they listened. Both guys shuffled out, half-dressed, not even embarrassed. Madison stood there, blouse half-buttoned, mascara smeared, tears welling up as soon as they left. And suddenly she dropped the smirk and collapsed to her knees. "Ethan, please," she begged, grabbing at my hands. It was stupid. I was drunk. They pressured me. I didn't even want it. "Please don't leave me. Please." The whiplash made my head spin. 1 second she was radiant, lost in pleasure, like I didn't exist. The next she was sobbing, clutching at me like I was her lifeline. And God help me, part of me wanted to believe her. I dragged her out of that room by the arm. She stumbled, barefoot, half-dressed, still clutching her blouse like it was some kind of shield. Emily followed behind us, whispering, "I'm so sorry, Ethan. I shouldn't have let it get this far." When we hit the hallway, I finally turned on Madison. "What the hell was that?" My voice echoed off the walls. "You were half naked with 2 men on your bachelorette night. Do you even hear yourself?" She dropped onto the carpet like her legs gave out, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Ethan, I swear I didn't plan it. They showed up, everyone was cheering, I didn't want to look lame. It got out of hand, that's all." I stared at her. "Out of hand? You had 2 men's hands all over you." She crawled closer on her knees, clutching at my jeans like some desperate actress. "Please, baby. It didn't mean anything. I was drunk. I was stupid. It was just attention. You know I love you. I'd never really cheat on you." "Really cheat?" I snapped. "What the hell do you call what I just saw?" That's when she tried a different tactic. She pulled herself up, hands trembling, and whispered, "You don't understand. I've been under so much pressure. The wedding, the expectations, everyone looking at me. I just lost control. It wasn't about them. It was about me feeling alive. Alive. So I didn't make her feel alive anymore?" That was the subtext. When I didn't answer right away, she pushed harder. She grabbed my face in her hands, forcing me to look at her watery eyes. "Please, Ethan. Don't ruin everything we've built over one stupid mistake. I'll never do it again. I'll cut off those friends. I'll do anything. Just don't leave me." Emily shifted uncomfortably, like she wanted to disappear. "I'll give you 2 some space," she mumbled before rushing down the hall. And there I was, standing over my fiancée who was kneeling, sobbing, swearing she'd change, all while the image of her laughing with those strippers burned into my brain. I wanted to scream. I wanted to drag her out in front of everyone and expose her. But instead, I just stood there frozen, torn between the love I thought I had and the betrayal I couldn't unsee. And Madison? She saw that hesitation. She knew it. And she leaned into it like the manipulator she'd always been. The next morning, I woke up next to her. She was curled into me like nothing had happened, breathing softly, her hand resting on my chest as if she hadn't been tangled up with 2 strangers just hours before. For a moment, I almost convinced myself it had been a nightmare. Until I saw the blouse crumpled on the floor. Until I smelled cologne in her hair that wasn't mine. I slid out of bed, careful not to wake her, and sat in the kitchen staring at the cold coffee pot. My hands shook. I didn't know if it was rage, heartbreak, or the sheer weight of pretending I didn't want to explode. She stumbled in an hour later, all smiles like she was going to charm the poison out of me. "Morning, babe," she said softly, patting over in her robe to kiss my cheek. I froze. I wanted to shove her away. But instead I let her kiss me. I let her pour herself coffee. I let her sit across from me and chatter about how stupid and crazy last night was, and how we can put this behind us. Because a part of me wanted to believe her. A part of me thought, maybe this was just a bachelorette party gone wrong. Maybe she got caught up in the moment. Maybe, God help me, maybe I was overreacting. But then she said it. "You're not going to tell your family about this, right? They'll never look at me the same." And I swear it wasn't even that bad. Not that bad. Watching my fiancée topless, sandwiched between 2 naked men, laughing while they pawed at her, wasn't that bad. Something inside me cracked. Over the next few weeks I tried. I really did. I went through the motions, helping her plan the wedding, smiling for photos, holding her hand in public. But behind closed doors, the image replayed in my head like a broken film reel. Every time she touched me, I flinched. Every time she said, "I love you," I heard the sound of her moaning for strangers. Every time she kissed me, I wondered who else had tasted her lips that night. And the worst part? She acted like I was the one with the problem. Whenever I grew distant, she'd tilt her head and sigh, "Are we really going to drag this out forever?" It was one mistake, Ethan. Normal couples move on. Normal couples. I wasn't sure what normal meant anymore. All I knew was that I was losing myself. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. My friends asked if I was okay, my mom said I looked pale and thin, and my brother noticed the way I avoided Madison's touch. And yet I kept telling everyone, and myself, I'm fine. But I wasn't. I was rotting from the inside out. It all came to a head 3 weeks later. We were at my parents' house for Sunday dinner. My mom made pot roast, my dad was cracking dumb jokes, my brother and his wife were there, and for a brief moment I felt normal again. Like maybe this nightmare would fade and I could just pretend. But Madison couldn't help herself. She had this habit of performing, of making everything about her. She laughed too loud at my dad's jokes, touched my hand dramatically across the table, leaned her head on my shoulder like we were the golden couple. And my mom, bless her, said softly, "You two are just perfect together. Madison, you're going to make such a wonderful wife." That's when it snapped. I felt my chest tighten, my hands clench under the table. Perfect? Wonderful wife. My fiancée, who had two naked men's hands all over her while she giggled like a teenager, was being praised as some paragon of virtue. I couldn't stomach it. I pushed back from the table so fast my chair screeched. The room went silent. Everyone stared. Madison's eyes widened, that fake innocent look plastered on her face. "You want to tell them?" I said, my voice shaking. "Tell them what you were doing at 3 in the morning during your bachelorette party?" Her fork clattered onto her plate. "Ethan, don't." But I did. I told them. Every detail. The phone call. The strippers. The blouse. The kissing. The moaning. The smug little smile she gave me when I walked in on her. My mom's hand flew to her mouth. My dad's face went red, veins bulging at his temple. My brother's wife just lowered her eyes and muttered, "I told you he needed to know." Madison burst into tears immediately, sliding out of her chair and dropping to her knees beside me. She clutched my leg, sobbing so loud it echoed off the walls. "Ethan, please. Don't do this in front of everyone. It was nothing, I swear. I was drunk. I didn't mean anything by it." "Didn't mean anything?" I spat, yanking my leg free. "You let strangers put their hands all over you. You let them take your clothes off. And you smiled while I stood there watching. That wasn't nothing, Madison. That was betrayal." She kept crying, begging, her makeup streaking down her face. My mom whispered, "Oh my God," and my dad muttered, "I knew something was off about her." Madison's parents, who had come over later for dessert, walked in right as she was kneeling on the floor, clinging to me, shrieking, "I'll change, I'll be better, please don't leave me." Her mom snapped, "Madison, get up. You're humiliating us." Her dad just shook his head and muttered, "I knew she'd ruin this." And me? I just stood there, chest heaving, finally saying the words that had been rotting in me for weeks. "I can't marry you. I won't. You destroyed everything." The room exploded after that, her family yelling at mine, my mom crying, my brother dragging his wife into the kitchen to calm her down. Madison collapsed on the floor, sobbing, clawing at the hem of my pants like I was her lifeline. But I walked out. I didn't look back. Walking out of my parents' house felt like ripping off my own skin. Madison was screaming behind me, her voice cracking, begging me not to leave. My mom was crying, my dad was furious, her parents were hurling blame across the room like grenades. But I didn't stop. I just kept walking until I was in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. When I got home, the silence was unbearable. The apartment felt wrong, her shoes by the door, her jacket on the chair, her perfume still clinging to the air. I couldn't breathe. I grabbed a trash bag and started throwing her stuff into it. Makeup, hair straightener, pajamas, whatever my hands touched. I wanted her gone. But then I sat down on the couch and everything hit me at once. 6 years of my life. 2 years living together. All the plans, wedding invitations already ordered, honeymoon booked, deposits paid. The apartment we were supposed to move into next month. The family we talked about starting. All gone. I thought I'd feel free, like I'd taken control, but instead I felt like someone had gutted me with a dull knife. For days I barely ate. Barely slept. I'd go to work, sit in front of my computer and stare at the screen until my boss tapped my shoulder and said, "Ethan, are you okay?" I lied, of course. Said I was just tired. But inside I was collapsing. The worst part? I started questioning myself. Was I too boring? Too safe? Did she cheat because I wasn't enough? Was Madison right when she screamed at me that it was just a mistake and I was overreacting? I replayed it over and over. Her blouse half off, those two guys kissing her neck, the look of delight on her face. And then her on her knees at my parents' house, sobbing, begging, promising she'd change. For a split second I almost believed her. Almost. But then I remembered the smile. The joy she had when she thought I wasn't looking. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't a mistake. That was who she was. And the realization cut deeper than anything else. After about a week of silence, Madison started showing up at my door. First time she knocked like a stranger. When I opened it, she was in sweatpants, mascara smeared, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. She dropped to her knees right there in the hallway, tears streaming, begging. "Ethan, please. I'm sorry. I was drunk. It was stupid. It meant nothing. I don't even remember half of it." I just stood there looking down at her, thinking about how easy those words rolled off her tongue. She'd lied before, I just hadn't wanted to see it. Over the next few days she kept coming back. Each time with a new excuse. It was the strippers, not me. They pushed me into it. Your brother's wife exaggerated, she hates me anyway. It wasn't sex, Ethan. It was just a mistake. Every time she cried harder, knelt lower, begged longer. But here's the thing, when someone lies they forget to keep their story straight. And Madison? She was slipping. One night she said it happened because she was so drunk she couldn't think. Another night she said she was just curious, just experimenting. Another time she swore nothing physical happened beyond kissing. But I'd seen it with my own eyes. No amount of tears could erase that image burned into my brain. Then the real bomb dropped. My mom called me late one evening, her voice sharp. Ethan, you need to know something. Your aunt ran into Madison's cousin at the grocery store. She said this wasn't the first time. Apparently, Madison had a history, college parties, a trip to Vegas with friends, even rumors about a work conference where she disappeared for an entire night. Skeletons she'd buried so deep I never thought to dig. When I confronted her with it, she collapsed again, screaming, crying, swearing it was just rumors. But the look in her eyes told me the truth. She was terrified because her mask was slipping. That's when I realized. The night of the strippers wasn't the first betrayal. It was just the first one I couldn't ignore. When the truth started spreading, the families took sides, and it turned into a full-blown civil war. My parents were furious, especially my dad. He's the quiet, steady type, but when I told him what I saw, he slammed his fist on the table so hard my mom jumped. Disgusting, he muttered. She humiliated you, Ethan. In front of everyone. That's not a wife, that's a fraud. My mom cried for me, not her. She hugged me and whispered, you deserve better than someone who treats marriage like a party game. My sister? She went nuclear. She texted Madison directly, you don't get to cry your way out of this. You made your bed, now lie in it, with your strippers. Meanwhile, Madison's family, oh, they were something else. Her mom called me, voice sugar sweet but sharp underneath. Ethan, you can't throw away an engagement over one little mistake. Men go to strip clubs all the time, you don't see us calling it cheating. I nearly dropped the phone. One little mistake? Then her dad chimed in a few days later, practically scolding me. You think you're perfect? You think you'll find someone better than Madison? She's beautiful, successful, everyone wants her. If you walk away, it'll be the biggest regret of your life. And her brother? You went a step further. Sent me a message at 2 a.m. Dude, you're overreacting. She was just having fun. Stop being so uptight. It was surreal. My family was standing behind me, ready to help me pack my things and walk away. Her family was circling the wagons, acting like Madison was the victim, like I was the bad guy for not forgiving her instantly. And through all this, Madison kept bouncing between houses, showing up at my parents' doorstep crying, then running back to her family where they puffed her up with excuses. But every time she tried to come near me, all I could see was that night. Her blouse half off, her lips on someone else's skin, her moans that weren't for me. I realized then. This wasn't just about cheating. This was about loyalty. And hers was long gone. It all came to a head one night about 2 weeks after the bachelorette disaster. Madison showed up at my apartment uninvited. I'd been crashing at my brother's place, but I went back to grab some things and there she was, on her knees in front of my door, mascara running down her face, clutching a crumpled letter. Ethan, please, she sobbed, grabbing at my leg as soon as I opened the door. Just let me explain one more time. I can't lose you. I'll die if I lose you. Something in me snapped. I pulled her inside and slammed the door. Explain? You've been explaining for weeks, Madison. You've lied, you've begged, you've twisted it every way possible. Enough. I want the truth. All of it. Right now. She broke down harder, rocking back and forth on her knees like a child. It wasn't what it looked like. They were strippers, Ethan, not men. I was drunk. Everyone was chanting, pressuring me. I cut her off. So what? That makes it better? You were half naked, kissing and touching them, enjoying it. You don't trip and fall into that. You chose it. Her face twisted, desperation in her eyes. I didn't sleep with them. I swear. I've never gone that far. Not yet, I said coldly. But how long until you do? You've already destroyed my trust. And then, in her panic, more skeletons came tumbling out. She admitted that it wasn't the first time. That during a girls' trip to Vegas the year before, she'd gone to a private show and done things she couldn't talk about. She tried to frame it like it was just a wild phase, but every new word felt like another knife. I remember yelling louder than I'd ever yelled in my life. "You've humiliated me, Madison. You've embarrassed my family. You've spit on everything we were supposed to build together. And now you want me to save you?" She crawled across the floor, clutching my knees again, sobbing into my jeans. "Please, baby, I'll change. I'll go to therapy. I'll quit drinking. I'll never see those people again. I'll do anything. Don't throw me away." But in that moment, all I saw was weakness. Was a woman who wasn't sorry for what she'd done, only sorry she got caught. And for the first time I said it out loud. "I don't love you anymore, Madison." The way she screamed when I said that? It was almost feral. But inside I felt something shift, like a chain had just snapped off my chest. After that night, everything spilled into the open. Word spread faster than I expected, thanks to my brother's wife, who couldn't keep quiet about what she'd seen at the bachelorette party. Within a week, both families knew. My parents were furious. My mom cried on the phone saying, "You deserved better, Ethan. She humiliated you in front of everyone. She doesn't deserve your kindness." My dad was less emotional but harsher. "That girl isn't wife material. She's a liability. Cut her off before she drags you into more mess." Madison's family, though, they were something else entirely. Her mother called me first, her voice syrupy sweet. "Ethan, darling, all young women make mistakes. You can't throw away a marriage over something silly. It was just a party." I couldn't believe it. Silly? Watching your fiancée topless with strippers at her own bachelorette wasn't silly. Then her dad chimed in later, leaving me a voicemail. "If you humiliate my daughter publicly, I'll make sure you regret it. Don't think you can drag our family name through the mud without consequences." That told me everything I needed to know about them. They weren't upset about what Madison had done, they were upset that I might expose it. Friends were split. Some took my side immediately, saying Madison was trash and I dodged a bullet. Others gave me the tired old line, "Well, maybe she was just drunk, man. Maybe don't overreact." To those people I stopped replying. The worst was when Madison herself started her campaign of damage control. She posted on Instagram about toxic men who can't handle strong women. She wrote a whole caption about how some guys can't accept that women explore their sexuality without being called cheaters. I nearly threw my phone at the wall when I read that. Explore your sexuality? While engaged? With strippers? In secret? Her narrative was clear. She wanted to paint herself as the victim of my fragile ego. But I wasn't about to let her rewrite history. So, I quietly started gathering every piece of evidence I had. The photos, the messages from my brother's wife, the PI screenshots of her Vegas trip. I wasn't going to shout it online. I was going to use it when the time was right. And in the meantime, I let Madison squirm in her own lies. I'll admit, at first, I wanted to torch Madison's world with one big explosion, blast the truth all over social media, send her family every screenshot, humiliate her the way she humiliated me. But then I realized something: she thrived on drama. If I gave her a public fight, she'd twist it, cry, and suddenly I'd be the bad guy. So instead I went quiet. Smiling. Calm. Playing along. That scared her more than any shouting match could. When she texted me begging to meet, I agreed. But instead of yelling, I listened. I let her cry, kneel, and say, "It was a mistake, Ethan. I was drunk, I didn't even know what I was doing. You mean everything to me. Don't let one night ruin our future." Inside I wanted to scream. But on the outside? I just nodded, said I'd think about it, and let her believe she still had a chance. Meanwhile, I was working behind the scenes. First, I met with my lawyer. Showed him the evidence. He smirked and said, "She doesn't have a leg to stand on. If you marry her after this, you're signing up for a life of misery. But if you want out, you can walk away clean." Then I started quietly leaking little truths to the right people. Close friends, family members, the ones Madison couldn't spin lies to. Not the full Vegas folder yet, just enough. The strippers, the photos, the PI's notes. I wanted her own circle to start doubting her. It worked faster than I expected. Within days, whispers started reaching her. Her cousin unfollowed her. Her best friend sent me a DM saying, "I always thought something was off about her. I'm so sorry you're going through this." The trap was working. But the real revenge? That was still to come. Because Madison wasn't just going to lose me, she was going to lose the shiny little mask she'd built for herself. And when the mask came off, everyone would see what she really was. The perfect opportunity came faster than I expected. My parents were hosting a Sunday dinner, something they hadn't done in months. They invited Madison too, since technically we were still engaged. I didn't argue, I wanted her there. That morning she showed up all smiles in a floral dress, acting like nothing had happened. She kissed my mom's cheek, hugged my dad, even complimented my sister on her new haircut. She slipped right into the role of the sweet, innocent fiancée. But I wasn't playing along anymore. Halfway through dinner, after the roast was served and the wine poured, I stood up and tapped my glass. Everyone went quiet, expecting some sentimental speech about marriage or gratitude. Instead, I set my phone on the table and hit play. The video I'd saved from the PI filled the room with sound. Madison's voice, giggling breathless, echoed out, "You guys are amazing, I've never felt this alive." Followed by the unmistakable laughter of the two strippers she'd spent the night with. The color drained from her face. She lunged across the table to grab my phone, but I pulled it back. "Mom, Dad, everyone," I said calmly, "this is what Madison was doing during her bachelorette party in Vegas. While her future husband sat at home, planning a life together." My mom gasped, hand over her mouth. My dad shook his head slowly, like he'd just been proven right about something he'd suspected all along. My sister muttered, "Jesus Christ, Madison." And then came the kicker. From the other side of the table, my brother's wife, remember the one who first called me that night, spoke up. And that's not all. She wasn't even going to call Ethan. She told me to shut up to cover for her. If I hadn't been drunk, he never would have known. The room went dead silent. Madison started crying, stammering, "It was just a mistake, I was drunk, it didn't mean anything, Ethan, please." She actually got on her knees beside me, grabbing at my arm. But my dad cut her off, his voice sharp. "Enough. You humiliated my son. You humiliated this family. Get up and get out." Madison's tears turned bitter fast. She looked around the table, searching for sympathy, but there was none. Even her own cousin, who'd come with her, stood up and said, "I'm not staying for this." That was the night Madison's mask shattered. Not just for me but for everyone. And it was only the beginning. After the Sunday dinner disaster, word spread fast. Madison's family got involved almost immediately, and if I thought my side was angry, hers was downright venomous. Her mom called me the next morning, screaming into the phone. "How dare you humiliate my daughter in front of everyone? You had no right to do that." I kept my voice calm. "With all due respect, ma'am, Madison humiliated herself. I just showed the truth." She snapped back, "Every couple has problems. You don't go airing dirty laundry like that. You're supposed to forgive, to protect her reputation." That last line told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't about love, loyalty, or even Madison's well-being. It was about image. They wanted me to play the dutiful husband so their perfect suburban fairy tale didn't crumble. Her father's reaction was even worse. He actually had the gall to suggest I should marry her anyway, because real men don't throw away women for mistakes. I laughed in his face. Real women don't crawl into bed with strippers during their own bachelorette party. Click. He hung up. But the fallout didn't stop there. Madison's sister DM'd me on Instagram with screenshots of Madison bragging about her wild night to her friends. The messages were vile. She joked about how boring Ethan would never know, and how she deserved to live a little before tying herself down. Seeing those words in black and white was like another knife to the chest. The kicker? One of Madison's closest friends reached out too. She admitted the strippers weren't the first time. There had been flings on her supposed work trips. Weekend book club meetups that were really hotel hookups. A whole string of lies spanning years. I sat there, phone buzzing with confession after confession, realizing I hadn't just lost my fiancée that night. I'd been living with a stranger the entire time. And for the first time, instead of grief, I felt something else. Rage. It was time to turn that rage into action. I'd spent weeks drowning in betrayal, but after those DMs, something inside me shifted. The sadness burned away and what was left was cold, calculated fury. Madison thought she could play me for a fool? Fine. I'd show her exactly what a boring, safe Ethan could do when pushed to the edge. First, I cut her off financially. During our 2 years together, we'd shared some joint accounts for bills and savings. I moved every cent that was mine into a separate account and froze the joint card. The very next day, she tried to use it for emergency shopping. Declined. The text messages started pouring in, first confusion then outrage. "WTF, Ethan? My card isn't working. Did you seriously lock me out of our money? You're pathetic." This is why I needed excitement. I didn't reply. Then came her reputation. Madison loved to act like she was the perfect girl to her social circle. Modest, classy, the type who baked cookies for neighbors and volunteered at shelters. I didn't need to shout or rant. All I had to do was show people the truth. Screenshots of her bragging about the strippers. Photos from that night. Hotel receipts her friend confirmed. I shared them with a select few, just enough to make sure word spread. And boy did it spread. Within a week, Madison's wholesome facade was shattered. Invitations stopped. Her so-called charity group unsubscribed her. Even her bridesmaids group chat went silent. Apparently none of them wanted to be part of her circus anymore. I sold or donated every gift we'd gotten as engagement presents. Jewelry she guilt-tripped me into buying? Gone. The matching monogrammed kitchenware she insisted on? Boxed up and dropped at Goodwill. I wasn't about to let her have props for a life she destroyed. The best part? I kept my calm the whole time. No angry posts. No screaming matches. Just quiet, surgical revenge that dismantled the fake empire she'd built piece by piece. By the time she realized what I was doing, it was too late. She showed up at my apartment one night, mascara running, knees hitting the carpet as she begged. "Ethan, please. I messed up, okay? It was just a mistake. You can't throw everything away because of one night. We can fix this." I just stared at her. It wasn't one night, Madison. It was a whole life you built behind my back. For once, she had no comeback. Just sobbing. And that's when I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I was free. When Madison knelt on my floor that night, sobbing and begging, I didn't feel the rage I'd expected. No satisfaction either. Just emptiness. She wasn't my fiancée anymore. She was just another stranger who'd shown me her true face, and I wanted nothing more to do with it. I told her to leave. She screamed, pleaded, tried every trick. Tears, guilt, promises, even threats. But the door still closed behind her. That sound, the click of the lock, felt like the real end of our engagement. For weeks afterward, I focused only on myself. Therapy, gym, cooking real meals instead of fast food, reconnecting with old friends I'd neglected during the Madison years. My brother invited me on a hiking trip, and for the first time in months, I felt something close to joy standing on top of that mountain, breathing clean air. Her family tried reaching out. Her mom claiming I'd embarrassed Madison, her sister spitting venom about how I was too weak for a real woman. It rolled right off me. Their cruelty only made me more certain I'd dodged a bullet. One night, scrolling through my phone, I found myself staring at a picture of Madison and me from better days. My arm around her, big smile on my face, her grinning like she had me wrapped around her finger. Instead of grief, I felt clarity. That guy, the naive, trusting version of me, was gone. And good riddance. I booked a solo trip to Colorado. A week in the mountains, just me, my camera, and silence. No lies. No strippers. No begging on her knees. Just me, finally living without the weight of betrayal pressing down. And when I got back, I realized something. Madison was just a bad chapter, not my whole story. If anyone reading this is where I was, broken, humiliated, convinced you're not enough, hear me, you are enough. Their betrayal is not your reflection. It's theirs. Don't let it define you. Madison thought she'd crushed me. But all she did was teach me how strong I actually am. And that strength? That's mine to keep. Forever.